martmeter on it, you baby. Hi guys, it's Dynamo here. Welcome to another video. It's the 15th of October 2024. I'm just giving you an update with the current scenario. So this is a representation of the inverter that's in my house. So when it comes to usage around here, it doesn't get more bona fide, it's localized. And so I just wanted to point out a few things of how they operate. So here in the evening time, this is at 2 in the morning, you see these spikes that are a different color. It's actually this color here that my mouse is over at the moment. This represents grid consumption. And so there's a smaller one here, the one I wanted to bring your attention to. If you'll notice here, it says the load is this amount, so it's 16. However, you get charged this amount. And so this happens during a blackout as well. So everything will be completely blank, but you'll be getting this small amount, about 3 to 4. When I say 3 to 4, 0, 3, 0, 4, which is the difference between these two. And that's basically what they've done by changing how you're being charged, not kilowatt hours, which included the rental of the equipment. They've made it KVA, or otherwise, they've made it that you have to pay rental for everything you bought. Also, if you need to use the grid, and just it's a constant fee. Right, I'm keeping a record for myself. So today at this point, I've used this much power according to this. And they've taken a feed in of this much. And if you can, and if you've got a battery, then you already know what I'm doing here, because most of you should have at least been able to log into your stuff. So you get this as one login. This is linked to the battery, but there is also another inverter login you can go to that's more the raw data. However, this one really shows just about everything that's going on. As well as the interference that's been able to occur via the smart meter. And what I mean by that is there's tallying figures here that that are basically, I believe, are unaffected by them. Whereas here, these figures, they can just change. I've got a huge track record of it. It's usually what I intend to prove in each video, and I'm probably going to possibly pause this video and come back to this later today. When I do that, what I do is I look for what this, I call it a pattern because I'm not very good with remembering things, so I look at it like a picture. So I'll see this and I'll be like, okay, that was the picture. If I go up here a bit, I can also see then this is what it represented. So 2.18 of kilowatt hour usage, which I don't know why they say it that way, because it's not that way. And then later I'll look if there's additional spikes and I'll assess that. And yeah, it shocked me to bits when I realized, because this is the inverter's record, that they were able to create a entry on the hard data of my inverter as I'd used grid consumption. However, when you analyze it, which I can't do here just now because there's no event to prove that, or I will, and I possibly will be able later today, it's a false calculation. And it's just, they hide behind this. I've been through the industry right up to the OTR and everybody, ombudsman, all that. I'm trying to think what it is. The statement that it's a certified meter, you know, sort of inculcating that it's going to be legitimate. However, how is it legitimate when it's clearly not being placed to work in its optimal fashion, where they've streamlined it to work for you, the customer? That's not happened, and in fact, over time, they are playing with it and working all sorts of different ways to make it look and do certain things that ultimately, what I'll say is malfunction your equipment, so that data goes through the smart meter, which then goes into like a dark web of radio frequencies. And whatever's collected up at the other end is what they consider to be bona fide. And so the problem with this is them collating the information here at the local address that's incorrect. So I'm going to pause this video here and keep an eye on this throughout the day as I usually do. Depending on how it goes, it might be a shorter video and I might upload it sooner. I'm not sure. However, it's just, to me, it's a shocking travesty what they've been able to do here behind the scenes. I mean, it's effectively going against somebody's will unbeknownst to them. Now, I'll let you imagine what that word is, because that's what they're doing to us. And on top of that, you'll see here that the feed in they're taking here, this is a massive feed in. Now, they take, I think it was like 24 kilowatt hours yesterday of power that they got for basically free. They'll pay me 6 cents or something. It's an absolute, another thing, travesty. And in my mind, in the law of exchange, I mean, heck, I'm getting completely screwed here, and then I have to pay for it. And they're falsifying the records in order to create additional income for themselves. And then you go to get help from the people that allow them to roll it out, and they want nothing to do with you. And on top of that, this new misinformation sort of stuff, I believe the real information they're trying to hide is what they are doing, and they're trying to enforce it so it's like stone on us. And if they do so, then they've completely pirated our entire, apparently it's a Chinese solar panel network. That's wrecked my train of thought, that is. Oh, and it's not paused, oops. And just a final point now, they set the controlled hot water load to go off whenever they want. And that means when you used to be charged 27.11 cents, something like this, you're now charged at whatever the rate is at the time that they make it happen. And so I've had to save myself money because I'm not going to let myself be used like that. And the way I do it is I switch it off. And every year we've got daylight saving. So sometimes they change it. It was 11:24, it would set off. That's in the morning. And now I believe it's 12:24. However, I think in the last 2 days they might have set it back. I'm not sure. I'm going to analyze that yet again today. However, what I need to say is that I believe you can save, from sort of 20% up to 80 or 90% on your bill by simply turning off that hot water, because it has a compounding effect in your whole household and what you use when it's applied, because it's no longer like how it used to be on a separate circuit with its own load and all the rest of it, and it's cheaper rate. Another travesty. I'm sorry, it's another travesty that the government's allowed, and I call it red carpeted out, to let them put these rip-off devices, smart meters. They're rip-off devices that have horrible health effects. Potentially could turn the place into a fallout zone, if they were hacked. I mean, they just really have no foresight in what they've rolled out on the people, other than they've got complete control. So, and what I mean by that is, as soon as the smart meter's put in, they can now turn off your system is now off, and it's not until you switch it on that it comes on. And what does that mean? Well, you can't turn it off and it will work when it's basically by design a remote system, and because it's got a battery. And the whole thing that they use to exploit this is by not allowing the inverter to have a backup power circuit. And effectively what they've done is they've separated everybody who paid for the network from their equipment. and then you're being charged rent for it, and they are taking every morning the first produce of the equipment you paid for, the best fruits. When in someone who's environmentally minded and understands also technology, I could quite easily live without even having any connection to the grid for that full period. And also not load the grid or withdraw from it simply because I can live within the sorry, I can't get that word right. I'm just going to pause. Parameters uh, of a certain amount of power that they want you to live within, which with this new inverter, it's around 3,800. And with the smart meter, your new kill switch, which used to be the Calypso power switch, was at 4,500, so almost 20 amp on its own. And so what they've done is they've dumbed that down to 3,800. And then they've let the meter decide the rental fees, if you would, with a sporadic. If you actually have a look at some of the videos on there, it explains how the thing works. They're in my playlist. How the thing bounces between 4 points, like nodes in a brain kind of thing, calculating all these things. And like I said, it's malfunctioned and hijacked externally from the property, and this is what the original argument was. And I've been right through multiple complaints to the Ombudsman, TIO, SA Power Networks, Office of the Technical Regulator. Heck, I've even contacted the CBS, because effectively how they say it should be is that Origin or AGL, your power provider, when you've made that complaint because you're saying the meter isn't metering me correctly, I'm being ripped off, that they then are to take action against the metering company on your behalf. And there is not any motivation in their organization to do anything like that at all. And that's either of them. And then you've got these companies, you've got all these employed people, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, they've got a job, blah, blah, blah. And to me, they're just holding up this incredible lie with the belief that they're doing the right thing. Because they're not doing the right thing for the people, and they're not doing the right thing for the environment, and they're not doing the right thing for the future of Australia either. They created a whole new act as well. They tried to pass the bogus control they have now through the existing Energy Act, Energy and Water Act, and they actually released a new act, which is, if you look at it online, it's basically greyed out. It's not considered active. It was superseded by the preceding act that we were already on. Because they were trying to scam us. That's what I believe. And so what they had to do then is create a whole new industry in Australia, and the government made this possible with a whole new act all around metering, the smart meter, that before the historic way we've lived in Australia, it's that corrupt, we wouldn't accept it in the same industry, and therefore you wouldn't change it. And we know how that is with law, right? And so they've created a whole new one, this loophole, to let the rich take control of our entire network in order to rip us off. And that's what's happening. And it's already happening. And they're not doing anything about it. And I'm absolutely shocked. I really am. So I don't know when there's going to be any recourse for this, and I don't know how the people are going to stop them, because they're even trying to stop us from sharing information among ourselves as well about what's going on. Foregoing fact, truthfulness, and righteousness, what's right, and integrity, and these sorts of things. And to think it's done by, this has all been set up through the government. And the other thing, they were given $2 billion by this Canadian company And you can get a smart meter installed on just about anything right now. And they'll be out there in a couple of days like that. You know, it's one of the hottest industries at the moment. Why? Because they've just been given money to live off, to do whatever they want from these foreign businessmen. And we all know how corrupt councils are and all the, I mean, this is just absolutely diabolical that they've been able to do this. Uh, you sold our country and our equipment we owned to overseas companies, to overseas control, that can then operate outside of integrity. And that's what's happening. When really this whole network, I'll tell you what happens, because when the installers finish their job and there's no smart meter, your equipment is hardwired onto the network. What I mean by that is you can't turn it off. If you hit the switch to turn it off, or if it was on and you went to turn it off, or whichever way, it wouldn't matter because it doesn't do anything. It is hardwired. And that's our Australian network of solar panels. However, what this government has effectively done is made it that another country owns it all. And not only that, the deeper coding of even this website I'm sharing with you is all in Chinese. And the equipment, the inverter even, the panels on the roof, you know, the deeper coding, all this stuff is in another language, making it completely exploitable to a firmware, you know, ghosting, basically. Where, you know, it says you've got 2,000 coming in when really you got 3,000. They're just taking one because you don't even know. And then what, they're selling it back to you to use, you know, or they're selling it to your neighbors to use. And yeah, they've been given free reign of everyone's stuff to do whatever they want. And rather than being like a government and logically thinking things out and seeking the right people in the professionals in the different areas and making it work for the people, they've somehow been able to just basically make us their cash cow, and then just, you know, at the same time they're guinea pigs. And once again, you get charged for power when the power goes out, when there's a blackout. This is what they've done. And on top of that, they take all that solar, you know. I mean, there is absolutely nothing legitimate about it. And it concerns me greatly because usually when this sort of stuff's going on, people are going to lose their confidence. Things are just going to get worse because I believe in a bird of a feather flock together. And so you want that leader to be someone that's of integrity, because otherwise, if it's not, then it's going to attract a whole lot of other bad birds. And so we'll go down, we'll just check here if we've been charged any more grid consumption. And I can't remember if it was 216 earlier, I should really check. But let's have a look on the graph. Well, there's nothing here. This might have gone up. And that's just it. You know, this is going up with no representation on the equipment. And you can actually watch it when they do it. Just go look at some of my other videos. I'm pretty expressive on some of them about what's going on. But you'll see it here because this is a real-time, you know, this is tracking what's going on. And you'll see it shoot up grid consumption. You'll see it malfunctioning in a way that it would never operate prior to when the smart meter was installed. That is why I say it's been hijacked. In the guise they've used this smart meter to malfunction the location. And at the other end, when they pick up that data, it's falsified to rip you off. Basically, where you've not been given anything for it. And in fact, you've been forced into a contract by them that in my mind is illegal, because every morning when you come in here and you check this, there'll be a feed in on the table. However, when you look on this part here where it has feed in This is every morning, so I can't show it to you right now, but every morning there'll be a feed in when there's been absolute no feed in that's come in from the equipment. And that alone, to me, someone that's in database analysis and account management with people, yeah, sends shivers down my spine, loses my complete confidence in what they've done as a provider of a product. And certainly of great concern to say that they call this certified, you know, like target quality, or, you know, it's been through the, you know, there is no way on earth this is legitimate. And when they take a feed in, this is what I was saying, when they take feed-ins that are inaccurate, when this data is inaccurate, it's got to do with money and the law of exchange. It then brings into question all other elements of their interference, like the hot water, for example. Stay tuned, guys. I'm going to make another video about how to save money, and it's just, you would have gathered it if you listen to my videos and like got your head around it. You probably would be doing it already, maybe as well. But pretty much I'm going to do a video showing how I'll try and highlight the limitations and certain boundaries or what have you, and then because obviously everyone's equipment can be slightly different as well, and a lot of people might not even have a battery and all this sort of stuff. So I might not be able to help so many of you. However, if you can log in and assess what's actively happening through your inverter, then you've got with that information, and say you had a fluke meter over your mains heading out of the house, you should be able to actually put it against each other. Right, stay tuned, guys. I'll keep you in the loop. This needs to stop. I don't know how they've turned a utility bill that's a need for our luxury items to use, because we need power to plug in our thing and this, that, whatever, charge it up, whatever it is, right? And now they've somehow made it that just to use anything, you've got to pay luxury prices for the power. You know, effectively what they're doing with petrol, in a way, you know, just shooting the prices here, there, everywhere. They're doing the same thing here. The Australian government's letting them all get away with it. They're coming out saying this, saying that. It's all just words. Nothing's actually being enforced. No one's actually doing anything. And the scam is just constantly continuing. I just can't believe they've been allowed to do this. Right, switching off for now, guys. A like and subscribe, share please. Ring the bell if you want to stay up to date with my latest videos. All the best. Let's get these guys, chuck them in the fryer. Get our network back.